All right, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of O365A. Today's topic is the announcement on April 2nd of the end-of-life program for the integration of Skype for Business with third-party audio conferencing providers. So what that means is, or I guess to start off with, is a audio conferencing provider is a integration that Microsoft allowed when the O365 first came out, even previously to that, which allows you to import or import, I guess, communications with a third-party PSTN provider, because Microsoft didn't have that functionality at the time. So there's a few different providers that you could have utilized, and Mike will talk about that shortly, that will allow you to provide that PSTN connectivity into a Skype for Business conference itself. So when you create a new meeting request or an ad hoc request, it will do an integration with one of the four third-party providers and include a list of telephone numbers and conference IDs, so that those users can, your external party users can utilize to dial in and join and be part of the same Skype for Business conference call. So bringing both the telephony side and the, the VoIP Skype users together.
Yeah, so those four companies in question that are going to be kind of the services from them impacted is PGI, Intercall, AT&T, and BT. And so these organizations have been, providing that third-party audio conferencing into Skype for Business Online for many years. I think the reason Microsoft is kind of changing this direction is Microsoft itself is providing conferencing in, I think around 95 countries, getting close to that 100 country mark. So I think they feel that, that third-party gap in conferencing is no longer required. But specifically, the program for these third-party providers is going to end on April 1st, 2019. And that means that if you are consuming the service today, it's kind of business as usual until that date. But if you haven't enabled your tenant for these third-party services, you won't be able to consume it or purchase it as of April 1st, a couple days ago. So that is going to be maybe a problem for some people that were transitioning from on-prem to online and had plans to be using these third-party ACPs.
Yeah, so we can talk about the different options that enterprises have if they do have audio conferencing needs of Skype for Business Online. In the announcement, Microsoft lays out three options. One of the most compelling and possibly easiest is to transition to Microsoft audio conferencing, their service. So instead of using a third-party audio conferencing provider that's being decommissioned, you can move to Microsoft's audio conferencing service. And it's available in about 90 countries, I think 400 plus cities in those countries. And what that means is Microsoft provides local dial-in numbers in all those cities. The transition's pretty seamless in terms of in Skype for Business Online portal, you can select the Microsoft audio conferencing option if it's available in the country you need it. In terms of licensing, it's included in E5. For E3 users, the organizer of the audio conference requires an add-on for the audio conferencing. I think in the US it runs about $4 a month, but all participants can dial in without the audio conferencing add-on license. And it's important to note too that the audio conferencing capability is separate from PSTN calling mostly. So for local inbound participation in the audio conference, that's free. If the participant is out of the local number region, I believe you do need some paid communication credits to dial in. There's a whole other feature with Microsoft audio conferencing where a participant can join by having Skype for Business Online call out to them. For that functionality, you do need PSTN capabilities, the phone system license, and communication credits. It's also important to note that for service numbers like toll numbers, 1-800 numbers, communication credits, PSTN dialing essentially need to be added for that capability.
Yeah, that's great, Kurt. So I'm left with the lesser of the desirable options. Moving into path 2, Microsoft is what the next option is continue to separately use a third-party audio conferencing provider. So, I mean, what this essentially means is you're disabling VoIP on-prem and you're exclusively using third-party audio conferencing, because what will happen is on April 1st, 2019, that integration stops to work, so that that the ability for the function that populated the meeting data into your Skype meetings will no longer happen, and which means you'll have to manually paste that information into your Outlook client, into your meetings when you're scheduling them. And you're going to have to disable VoIP so that you don't end up with these islands. Imagine people dialing into a meeting, and some people are on VoIP and some people are on the third-party audio conferencing provider, and they're not blended anymore. So that's not going to be a pleasant experience. You'll have to disable VoIP, figure out a way to just paste that information in and get anybody who's organizing conferences to paste that information into their client and maintain it all externally. So you might think that that's likely doable, but the biggest problem that I have with this is that, probably the biggest reason most organizations moved to Link into Skype was the savings that they realized in using audio conferencing through VoIP. You have 10 people in a company joining a call. 9 out of 10 of them are in the boundaries of the company, so they're using VoIP, and so only one of them might be using dial-in. So all that savings was realized tremendously by every single company that I've dealt with in terms of deploying audio conferencing. So that's going to be a big caveat. So I'm not really sure how well this option will fly, but we'll see. It's certainly being presented as a valid option. The last option that they introduced is path 3, which is stop using dial-in conferencing altogether. And I don't know how that's gonna work, to be honest. Basically, you're going to use VoIP only. So if your company does business such that it never has people dialing in altogether, then this could likely work for you. But I suspect that this isn't going to fly for large organizations. So you're going to look at having to use path 1 or 2 because you obviously have a need to get people dialing into a conference. There's just going to be a time where there's going to be 1 or 2 people or possibly more that have to dial in. So you're going to be looking at the other 2 options.
Yeah, and it's just more to make note as well is that this is strictly for companies that use in Office 365, so Skype for Business Online, right? So if you're utilizing these third-party companies with your on-prem server, that functionality will still continue to work in itself, right?
Yeah, I already had some confusion around that message. People concerned that they're having, SIP trunks to their on-prem environment, and what's happening now? Can I not do conferencing? No, it's purely for the statements for those 4 companies that were providing a third-party service integrated into Skype for Business Online. That service never made it into Teams. So Teams, your only option was that Microsoft branded audio conferencing. So on that side, organizations that were using Teams for audio conferencing, they're not impacted. I really think that this is a unique scenario where I can speculate on something because I have no insider knowledge. I'm not in any taps around audio conferencing. And so I think with the statements around direct routing, I think that ability to provide a customer to provide their own telephony into Skype for Business or to Teams, maybe that'll be expanded that they can now bring in service numbers, and maybe now a customer can bring their own telephony option into the conferencing, right? Sort of how the video interops companies like Pexip and Polycom are tying into that conference meeting invite. It'd be interesting to see if if that whole path is something that's exposed for us to consume as customers and service providers.
And companies might be interested in, if they have existing numbers now, can you bring those into the Microsoft audio conferencing option? I believe you can, and it's subject to the same process and restrictions that porting existing PSTN numbers to Microsoft PSTN calling. I don't know, Michael, if you have any more insight into that, but
yeah. So I mean, at least in Canada, Canada's still in beta or a preview for calling plans. So you have to be in the preview program to even access the ability to do porting in of numbers.
Right. And I think we said that the date on this is, I just had it here.
April 1st, 2019.
Yeah. So less than a year, but a year should be a good amount of time to make alternate plans.
Yeah, and figure out exactly what your process is going to be moving forward. So, all right. So thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll hopefully you'll catch us on the next one.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye.